Here, and we appreciate your time. Gianno, we're going to start with you. You say this is typical big government Democrat welfare. Here's your $500 a month. Don't worry about a thing. Just vote for me, right?
Well, what our viewers know is I'm from Chicago. I grew up in poverty in Chicago and certainly got involved in politics in Chicago. A plan like this doesn't reach as much support when it comes to the aldermen, the city council members there without the mayor. The mayor has a very low approval rating, is at about 30+%, and the election is coming up. So to me, I see this as a buying votes at $500 a pop. And this is something obviously that's very targeted to the African-American community. In 2016, there was a study showing that 70% of African Americans didn't earn a living wage and 60% of Latinos didn't earn a living wage. So this is, I think, a total smack in the face to folks who actually need help by way of programs that can benefit them in job training, et cetera, so they can earn a living wage versus be handed $500, which gets you nowhere.
Rochelle,
basically.
your response?
Well, honestly, you know, the people that look like Gianno and I, we are not the face of the welfare system. White working class Americans make up 44% of those welfare recipients. So I'm not surprised that, you know, Gianno, who is a Republican, would not support a welfare program, even though he benefited from himself. But, you know, the Democrats have to be really, really smart about this, because if you start having this sort of universal base income program, Republicans could use this as an opportunity to slash other programs, other welfare programs, such as Section 8, child care assistance. What else do we have? Food stamps. So they could cut these things in order to offset the cost, because right now we're spending billions of dollars in welfare. And according to the Center on Budget and Priorities and Policy, we could actually be spending trillions of dollars when it comes to universal based income. So, you know, I get it. You know, times are tough, times are hard. Right. But I do agree with Gianno that I'm not sure $500 is really the way to go. We need to be putting people in a position in which they have a lifetime of success, which leads to generational wealth and stability, and not short-term gains and long-term dependency.
Well, let's talk about this as an idea in general, because if you talk to some of these, there's a few tech billionaires that think this is a good idea. Elon Musk, one of them, who says in the future it's going to be necessary to have a universal basic income because artificial intelligence is going to take all of our jobs, or a great majority of our jobs. Gianno, what do you think about that comment?
Well, first, let me respond to Rochelle, because I thought she was coming on with her coffee talking points, not our happy hour talking points. With that being the case, I never once said that I didn't support welfare. Welfare is good in a temporary sense, not permanently. Okay, so with that being the case, when we talk about programs that can help people, I think about people like Dina Blair, someone that I worked with when I was 16 years old, and I worked for the Social Security Administration, who only got a job by way of welfare reform in 1996. Which allowed you to keep your welfare benefits, also get a job, and then permanently get off the system. More programs like that is necessitous in order to move communities of color and otherwise forward. Yeah. So when we're talking about this issue, it's not about handouts, it's about a hand up. Give me an opportunity, allow me to move so I can take care of my family. Therefore, I'm not dependent on the government to take care of us generation after generation, as we see in Chicago oftentimes happens.
And that was a Democrat. That was Bill Clinton's welfare reform in 1996.
But in all fairness, I think
and Newt Gingrich, both of them work together.
This is not welfare, and that's the discrepancy. This is whether you make $30,000 a year or whether you make $120,000 a year. So I think we need to be clear that this is not
government assistance.
Okay, but it's not necessarily welfare.
And expensive at that.
And it's for everyone.
It's definitely
it's an interesting topic. They're going to test it out. I don't know who's going to complain about getting $500 a month. I think they're going to have a good approval rating on it. Guys, thanks so much for coming in this morning. We appreciate
Waste, fraud, and abuse is what that causes. Waste.